I am Christopher. Have you ever wondered why the most powerful people in the world are often the quietest? While the weak scream for attention, the masters move in the shadows. But what happened when one man remained silent for 40 years? The secret he discovered during that time, well, it changed everything. Stay with me, my friend, because what I am about to tell you is something they don't want you to know. The world is built on noise, but the throne belongs to the silent. You see, my friend, when we were younger, we thought that being heard was the same as being powerful. We thought that if we shouted loud enough, the world would listen. But as the silver began to show in our hair, we learned a different truth. We learned that the most influential man in the room is often the one who says the least. Silence is not the absence of thought, it is the ultimate concentration of it. But wait, there is a hidden danger in this silence that most people overlook. A danger that can either make you a king or destroy your soul. You have to understand that as we age, the noise of the world starts to fade, and the internal echoes grow louder. This is where most men lose their minds, but a wise man finds his crown in that very noise. I remember a story from my youth, a lesson that took me decades to truly understand. There was an old clockmaker in our village. He never spoke much. While others spent their evenings at the tavern boasting about their small successes, he sat in his dimly lit shop, surrounded by the steady, rhythmic ticking of 100 clocks. One day, I asked him why he was so quiet. He looked at me with eyes that had seen many winters, but his hands were trembling. He leaned in and whispered something that I have never forgotten. But before I tell you what he said, you must understand why the villagers were actually afraid of him. They believed he was talking to the spirits of the clocks, but the truth was much more terrifying. The truth was, he wasn't talking to spirits, he was listening to the sound of time itself slipping away. He told me, Christopher, the loudest clock in this room is the one that is broken. The ones that keep perfect time move in near silence. But then, he pointed to a golden watch locked in a glass case. That watch, he said, hasn't ticked in 50 years, yet it tells the most important truth of all. At that moment, the shop door creaked open, and a man in a black coat stepped in. The clockmaker froze. I saw a fear in his eyes that I had never seen before. But why? Why would a silent old man be so afraid of a stranger? It was because that stranger represented the noise he had been hiding from his entire life. But hold on, this is where the story takes a turn you won't expect. The man in the black coat didn't come to threaten him. He came to return something. A letter. A letter that had been unopened for half a century. It was in that absolute silence that I realized the clockmaker's true power. He wasn't just quiet by choice, he was guarding a legacy that words would only tarnish. This is where most people fail today. They share their meals, their locations, and their every fleeting thought on those little glowing screens. They are giving away their power for a few likes from people they don't even respect. But a life lived entirely in public is a life that loses its soul. Privacy is not a crime, it is a fortress. Why do you think the elite never tell you their next move? Because the moment you speak of your plans, the magic dissipates. But when you work in silence, your results carry a weight that words can never match. Yet, there is a trap here. A trap that many of us fall into as we grow older. We think that silence is just about not talking. But what if the silence is actually a weapon used against us? Think about the silence in your own home. Sometimes, that quietness feels like a heavy blanket, doesn't it? It can feel like abandonment. But what if I told you that this very silence is your final chance to win the game of life? What if the void you feel is actually a space waiting to be filled with your true purpose? I once knew a man who spent his life complaining. He complained about the weather, the government, and his failing health. But then, he lost his voice in a tragic accident. For a year, he couldn't say a single word. His wife thought he would wither away, but the miracles started happening. His business grew because he finally started listening to his partners. His children started respecting him because he no longer shouted. And his health? His heart became steady. But on the 365th day, when he was finally able to speak again, he chose to remain silent. Do you know why? Because he discovered a secret about human nature that would terrify most people. He saw what people truly thought of him when they thought he was no longer a player in their game. He saw the masks fall. But as shocking as that is, we must go deeper. Nature is our greatest teacher, but she is also a silent assassin. The great oak does not make a sound as it grows for 200 years to touch the sky. But when it falls, the entire forest feels the impact for miles. Why should we be any different? When you practice silence, you develop a presence that people can feel the moment you walk into a room. They won't know why, but they will feel a sense of calm, or a sense of fear. It is because you carry the weight of your thoughts, not the emptiness of your words. But there is one thing you must never do in silence. If you make this mistake, your silence will not be a fortress, it will become your coffin. You must never let your silence turn into bitterness. Imagine a world where everyone spoke only when they had something necessary to say. It would be a much quieter world, but oh, how much more meaningful it would be. Silence allows us to listen, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. But here is the part that no one tells you: the people who speak the most are often the ones who have the most to hide. They use noise as a smokescreen. They are terrified of what might happen if the room goes quiet. Because in the quiet, the truth comes out. When you stop talking, the smoke clears. And what you see behind that smoke, well, it might change the way you look at your friends and family forever. It might reveal who was actually standing by you, and who was just standing near you. I remember sitting by a lake in the mountains many years ago. It was dawn, and the water was like a sheet of black glass. Not a single bird had begun to sing. In that absolute silence, I felt a connection to everything around me: the ancient stones, the cold water, the very air itself. I realized that my voice was not needed to complete that moment. The moment was already perfect. Since then, I have sought out those moments of perfection. I have found them in the eyes of a sleeping grandchild, in the steady flame of a candle on a winter night, and in the quiet companionship of an old friend who doesn't need to be entertained. These are the moments that define a life, not the loud achievements or the public accolades that fade like morning mist. I want you to leave behind the need to explain yourself to everyone. You do not owe the world an explanation for your peace. If people do not understand your silence, they will never understand your words anyway. Focus on your internal garden. Pull the weeds of noise and distraction, and plant the seeds of contemplation and gratitude. When the world demands more from you than you are willing to give, retreat into your fortress of silence. It is there that you will find the strength to continue. But don't go just yet, because the most important lesson is still to come. I want to leave you with a challenge for the coming week. But be warned, this challenge is not for the faint of heart. It will test your relationships and your own sanity. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, sit on the edge of your bed for 10 minutes. Do not reach for your phone. Do not speak to your spouse. Do not even pray out loud. Just listen. You will hear things you haven't heard in 40 years. You will hear the house breathing. You will hear the distant hum of a world that is losing its way. But most importantly, you will feel a presence in the room that has been waiting for you to be quiet. This is the moment of truth. Are you ready to face what lies in that stillness? Because once you hear it, you can never unhear it. It is the sound of your own soul finally getting a chance to speak. Every storm you have survived, every pain you have carried, it all leads to this very moment of silence. You see, my friend, we are at a stage in our lives where we have seen it all. We have seen kings fall and beggars rise. We have seen empires crumble and new ones take their place. And through it all, the only thing that remained constant was the silence of the earth. Why fight it? Why fear it? Embrace it. Let it wash over you like a cold mountain stream. Let it strip away the lies and the pretenses. What is left when you take away the noise? Only the truth. And the truth is, you are much stronger than you ever imagined. You don't need the world to tell you who you are. You already know. You just forgot because it was too loud. Thank you for staying with me until the very end, my dear friend. It is an honor to share these reflections with someone who understands that the loudest scream is often a silent one. Carry this hidden treasure with you today. Watch how people's faces change when they realize they cannot provoke you. Watch how they become uncomfortable because they cannot read you. That is your power. Until our next walk down the path of wisdom, stay calm, stay mysterious, and most importantly, stay wise. The door is closing now, but the silence has just begun. This is Christopher, signing off for now.